Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another show of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Hello, world.
Hey, Jeremiah, how are you?
I'm doing great, Professor. How are you today?
Good, happy, feeling better today. Em and I went out today, had a great lunch. But today, we'll talk about our guests later. But I have to say, yesterday, I watched almost for 6 hours, The Great Smoke. I don't know if you had a chance to see a little bit about it, Jeremiah, yesterday.
Unbelievable.
I mean,
the first time something like this is pulled off, isn't it?
And I want to, first of all, I don't know if he's hearing the show, but somebody will probably tell him, give out a huge congratulations and a big shout out to Abe. Abe, Honest Abe, as we all call him, did an amazing job with his team yesterday, with Mel, with Michael Herlocks, a couple of the other people. It was amazing. I mean, all the guests were great, but I have to say, Carlito and Steve Saka really hit it out of the park yesterday. So I have to congratulate Carlito and Steve Saka. And I mean, Abe, as we say and been saying in our show for many episodes, history in the making. And yesterday, Honest Abe, you did history in the making without a doubt. What did you think, Jeremiah?
Jose, is this the first time that something like this was pulled off? Because I have never seen anything like it.
No, it's the first. Well, till my knowledge, it's the first virtual done with the amount of people. And it was funny because a lot of people say, well, you know, it crashed a lot of times on the buying. But I mean, when you have that cigar that Carlito made for Abe, and there were some great cigars out there.
What a box. It was that fluorescent green box. I mean, I was like, whoa, I got to get my hands on one of these.
Yeah, we're lucky if we could smoke one if we go in the factory. But it was great. And, you know, my hat's off to Abe, to all the team, to Paul and Abe's team. It was phenomenal.
And so congratulations.
Done.
I mean, it looked like a talk show. There was the couch and there was the counter. And I mean, only Abe can pull something like this off. It was unbelievable.
Without a doubt. So hats off to Big Abe. Honest Abe.
Hats off to Abe. Congratulations, Abe and the whole crew. Wonderful. Today's a special day. We have not one, but two guests of honor today. I know they're very special to your heart, known throughout the industry. And who better to present them than the one and only the Professor?
Well, today we're gonna have, for the first time, a couple. We've had father and son a couple of times, but we've never had husband and wife. I mean, husband and wife could be any husband and wife, but these two are special. I've known them for 20.
Should we have done this for Valentine's, maybe?
Yeah, well, it's too late. We'll do it. The second time around will be Valentine's next year. But anyway, I've known them for 20 years. I have to say this, every company that I've worked with, they have given me support. I've done seminars, tasting with them. They are two, in my opinion, one of the top shops in the state of Illinois and one of the top retailers in the whole country. I would like to welcome Mr. Ken Neumann and his wonderful and adorable and sweet wife. You know who it is? Julie Neumann. Hi, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Ken and Mrs. Julie Neumann. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hello. It's an honor.
Thanks for having us.
No, the pleasure is ours. Like I said, I've known you guys for many, many years. Hard workers, honest. And we'll talk a little bit later why you guys have been successful. It's not like, we open a shop, everybody comes in. No, that's not the way it works. But anyway, I first of all, Ken, where were you born?
I was born in Chicago, but raised in Lake Forest, which is a suburb close to our store now in Libertyville.
And Julie?
I was born in Evanston, which is also a northern suburb of Chicago, and raised close by in Glenview.
Okay, you're both born in Illinois. Okay, it doesn't really matter where. Both born in Illinois. Let me ask you something. How did you guys meet?
I probably better telling that story. I invited myself to my friend's sister's wedding, and I went as a bachelor, no date with my other buddy. and Julie was serving food at the reception, and she was standing up in the front before the event started, and I looked at her and I went like this and said, smile, and she looked at me and just kind of blushed a little bit, and next thing I know, we were going on a date the next night. So it was kind of a meant to be kind of thing.
Okay, Julie, that's his version. I want to hear your version.
I was just about to say, usually the men's version and the women's version doesn't line up for some reason.
My version's a little different.
Wow. Okay.
No, I was on a second shift working that day. I had to cover for somebody, so I didn't want to be there. That's probably the reason why he signaled over to me to smile, because I probably had a not so good look on my face after not wanting to be there that evening. But yeah, he was around the whole night. He was coming around talking to me a lot and flirting with me, and I kind of went out of my way, which I normally don't do, and I handed him a beer that had a napkin underneath, and it had my phone number on it. And a couple minutes later, I watched him, and he crumpled up the napkin and he threw it away. And my first thought was, this jerk, he's been flirting with me all night. And I go completely out of my realm, and I give him my number, and he throws it away. And it ended up being that at the end of the night, he asked for my number, and I said, no, why don't you give me your number, and I'll give you a call if I want. And so history has it that I did, and I end up finding out that he always throws away drink napkins. He doesn't care for those.
See, it's good to hear the two sides of the story.
Before we have Jose ranting on the rest, there's somebody who just popped up who wants to send their regards. Now, I know we placed bets on how late he was going to be, but shamefully, we lost because he's actually quite early today. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Mr. Carlito Fuente.
Yes, I'm early today. Hey, my dear friends, how are you, Julie?
How are you,
Hi, good, how are you,
Good to
Carlito?
see you. You know, I was listening, and you're talking about you guys and how you met and everything, and my mind flashes back to all those photos that you put up and everything when y'all were young. And look at and he's just as handsome as he's always been. I think he just seasons with time. He just looks better, and you're beautiful. So happy to see you both.
Good to see you too. I'm sure you're tired from yesterday's event, so I appreciate it.
No, I'm fine. I'm fine. Actually, at the hotel, I had no signal and everything, so I had Anna Cuenca pick me up, and I'm here now at Cuenca. So come to the back. They got Wi-Fi, but at least that's pretty good.
Yeah.
So anyway, Ken, do you remember your first cigar?
My first real cigar was probably a Portofino when it was the day of our wedding, and but my first that was the first handmade cigar. Honestly, the first premium cigar that I remember smoking on a regular basis was a Hemingway, and it was interesting because back then it was just a great cigar. I didn't know anything about it. I just liked that cigar, and I love Cameron, and I love Cameron wrapper, and she can attest to it. It's one of my favorite things on earth for cigars to be wrapped in, and that was pretty much it. That time, and back then the Hemingways were still only like I think $6 or something. It was not really an uber expensive cigar, and that from that store that I bought those at, it's probably about 6 miles from our store, or 4 miles from our store right now, and that gentleman's out of business. It was a mall store, and he's gone, unfortunately. So it's interesting, and that's 6 years ago.
Julie, do you remember your first premium cigar?
I don't remember my first, but probably the cigar that I started smoking early on was probably an Ashton Maduro that I enjoyed on a regular basis.
Okay, good. Now, this is very important. Ken, when did you fall in love with cigars?
You said you weren't going to stump me on that. Interesting, because when we got in this business, of course, you thought to yourself, oh, I'm going to come in this business and make tons of money. And, I probably should have thought that one through a little bit more. But at the time, and an interesting story, and hopefully I can say this right. But to keep myself grounded, I remember actually a Fuente representative came in our store, and I said, come on, it's just a weed wrapped in plastic. And that was my way of saying, keeping myself grounded. Don't be full of yourself that you're just a guy who can sell cigars. Anybody can sell cigars. And after that, I said to Julie, I just said that to somebody who works for Carlito Fuente. That was just really stupid if it was said in the wrong way, but just to keep myself grounded. But as I gotten more and more in this business, and my trips to the Dominican Republic and Nicaragua, Honduras, the more people I met, that's when I fell in love. Probably about 4 years into the business is when I truly fell in love with cigars, because I got to know not only our customers, but the people that work by hand to bring those cigars to our stores. That's when I really fell in love, walking through those factories and seeing the looks on their face and how wonderful these people are, who basically wanted to invite me to their house for dinner and didn't have much, but they wanted to give to us. That's pretty much it. I'm probably 4 years into the business, and it became no longer a business, a passion.
Ken and Julie, somebody else just popped on. It's the queen of our show, the one and only Melanie Sisco. Melanie, welcome to the show.
Hi, I made it.
And I see you're sitting right next to Carlito. Perfect. All right, Carlito, keep your hands to yourself. Melanie, you want to announce the it's time. Let's do it.
All right. Be sure you guys get in your questions for the professor show, because that is what we're playing today. We're going to stop him. Come on. Who wants a bobblehead?
You guys, without a doubt, have two very successful stores. I remember for many, many years it was only one shop, and then I remember, I could get these dates wrong. Was it 2013, maybe 14, the second shop? Was it around there?
2010.
Huh?
2010 was the second store.
Okay. Well, I only missed by 3 years, so.
Okay.
So
I have to intervene here. I mean, that's better than the last time. He was off 62 years.
So you guys have two shops that have done well. I've done events at both of them. I know the staff. Can you tell us a little bit? I want to hear from both of you. What has made your two shops so successful? I hear a lot of people say, well, it's the hard work, it's the staff, it's bada beam, it's this, that. I want to hear the thoughts on both of you, why you guys have been so successful. And not only successful and respected among your peers and respected by the companies also, which I think is very important.
Well, to be honest with you, I just actually gave the book to my manager to read, and it's a book called, my friend gave me, called Hug Your Customers. And it's kind of like a perfect title for our industry, right? I mean, where I come from a different background, and it wasn't a hug your supplier or manufacturer or business. It was just business. And when you meet someone in the cigar business, you give them a hug, whether it be a chest bump hug or whatever, but it kind of gets you a kismet and brings you together. And that's what I think made us successful. We've brought ourselves into customers' lives, and those customers have brought us into their life. And I think from the beginning, it really was. And we still have customers today from 23 years ago that were here and meet my sons and say, I can remember when you were in your mother's stomach, and they see my son now, he's 6'1", and that's really what's made it is the drive to survive in the small industry, but to make it, to strive that every transaction that we do at our store, I tell our guys, I'm okay if our customers are happy and satisfied, but the most important thing to me is that our customers are loyal. And loyal customers will go nowhere, and they'll walk through fire for you. They absorb price increases. They just continue to support us even during pandemics and downtimes and bad weather. And that's really what it is. It truly is our guys that work on our store, a guy that today took up a shift for Julie because he knew she was going to be on this show. And that take that vision that we have as owners and portray it to our customers every day. It is truly the guys on the floor. And so many people misunderstand that when they walk into a store. Go ask one of those guys behind the counter. They love it. Hey, I love this cigar. What would you suggest? That's what they love and live for. And that's truly what it is. It's about hugging your customer and being a part of our lives. Stuff you can't get by punching a keyboard. and saying, let me order this box of cigars. Well, what do you do? That doesn't create a kismet amongst humans, which is what we need right now and in the years to come. That's what I think it is. I think it's truly ingraining yourself into a customer and them doing the same for you.
Julie?
You know, I think it has a lot to do with the customer base that we have. From the beginning, when our lounges opened and we would have people come in and sit down, it was, you know, you encompass the cigar and what a cigar does for people and the way it allows it to bring people together. And I think that really is shown throughout both of our stores now too, but especially our first store when it opened, where, you know, you could have customers sitting in there in the lounge and they were welcoming to someone else coming to sit down. It didn't matter if you were, you know, 76 or if you were 32 or 18 and, you know, 18 at the time, now it's 21, but everybody was welcoming. And I think that really allowed us to have the atmosphere in the stores that we have with the customers that are loyal to us today, is, you know, the customers themselves welcoming everybody into the shop and, you know, as if it's their own place.
So let's turn it around a bit. Ken, why do so many shops fail?
Wow. That's kind of a loaded question.
You think so?
Well, some of it has to do with overhead. I mean, we own both our locations, so we work really hard to do that so we can keep our overhead down. So when things get tight during this time of year, we can afford to weather that storm. But I would say that they fail in those categories. They think of it as just a widget, and a widget, anybody can sell a widget, but selling passion and love and caring for your customer, not everyone can do that. My gosh, we get invited to customers' weddings and their baby showers and stuff like that just because they want to be a part of our life and they know we are part of their life. I think, why do they fail? Part of it is they lose touch with that customer base and they don't realize that every customer who walks through your door is a possibility to make them loyal. And if you make them loyal, they'll come back. And the other thing we could touch on this a little bit later is pricing. You know, I know Carlito and his family and everyone else in this industry works really hard on pricing. And if you're going to gouge people, they're not going to come back. You have to give them the best possible price you can. And even in our state, that's what, 42, 43 cents out of every dollar we sell goes to taxes. Why is our store right now full of people? That's a good question, and I've asked many why. And most of them say because we love you guys, we want to support local, and we want to be a part of this community that you guys have made. You know, and that's really what it is. I think it's that lost touch, and you can fix that today by telling every one of your employees to greet that customer, walk in, everybody, even the guys that spend time in your stores for sometimes 7 hours a day. Those are those people that you want to interact with more. And that's kind of a loaded question. I don't know exactly, but I would say pricing and overhead too. Wouldn't you think? I don't know what you think.
I think that is a big thing as far as overhead's concerned. As Ken said, we own both of our properties, so we're paying a mortgage versus paying rent to somebody. So we, you know, I don't know. We have the ability to, you know, keep that overhead to a place where we can afford to have that. I think a lot of stores do, you know, I honestly don't know how some of the stores do it that have these, you know, beautiful establishments. We're in a state too where you can't sell alcohol. I know that helps some places sometimes, along with the cigars, to be able to have this beautiful property. Where we're at, our properties are extremely expensive, and it's tough. It's tough to support a store on cigars alone.
Yeah, it's without a doubt. Let me ask you this, Ken. I don't know if when you travel, you and Julie visit other stores. I don't know, but I guess you do. So let's say you walk into a shop. It could be in Michigan, could be Jersey, could be Pennsylvania. What is something that you walk into a shop and really annoys you?
Like I hinted on before, is that greeting. You know, I'm not saying go hug the person, and you know, but we all have to remember that we're blessed to have these customers walk through the door. My God, they could push a button and have that product go different tomorrow. So that greeting is, how are you? You how's your wife? How's the kids? Just like you greeted me today. That's what we need to do, because that creates that human interaction. And if they feel more comfortable, I mean, I remember complaining one time in a meeting, and Michael Herklotz happened to be there, and didn't complain, but I said, boy, these customers keep coming in and they ask for Opus. We get it, but we didn't have it at that time. And I was a little frustrated. He goes, did you ever ask why? Be nice about it and ask why. So I said that to a customer, and then I asked another customer that, and he only comes in and buys and leaves. And I asked him why, and he goes, because you guys are great. They have my stuff at the counter. We have a nice little conversation. Then I go back to work at my house. That to me was a light bulb moment, saying that that's why these people are coming in here. They're spending an extra 43 cents on every dollar or whatever to come into our store, and that's it. It's that first greeting. That's what sets the tone. Then you have to have proper lighting and clean and a myriad of other things that it can all be fixed with a roll of paper towels and a bottle of Windex. Truly that's what it is. Get off your butt and go help those customers. But it becomes a really fun environment if you allow it to be. My God, I'm being paid to smoke cigars. I mean, what world do I live in that I get paid every day to come to work to smoke cigars? And that's what you have to portray to your customers. It's an exciting business that we sit and get to enjoy cigars and do that. I think that greeting is the first thing that would probably perturb me the worst. And then a myriad of other things, but that's probably the first.
You know that yesterday, I don't know why it didn't occur to me and to ask this question, and I made a note of it, which I have not asked previously. People like Gary Pesh, which you know well, Dave Garofalo, which you know well, Art, a whole bunch of people. So I'm going to ask you, and I hope you don't think it's a loaded question. I want you to tell me, you don't have to get into brands or company. What's the thing that you dislike the most about a salesperson?
About a salesperson? One that doesn't show up. We're a store that we manage our inventory. I've got it all in my brain, and we manage our inventory through a computer system. So we really don't need our handheld, but that interaction with one that doesn't show up, because the interaction with our guys, because they're our frontline guys, and they sell that product. And really, that's where the underlying problem exists. When we do a survey in our staff meeting, and I say rank your best representative. If you're not on that list of the top 10, you should probably find another job, because that means that none of our guys know who you are. And that means that they can't sell for a person, because we don't sell cigars, we sell for people. And sometimes reps are the only people that these guys ever meet, but we still sell for that rep. Like I sell for Carlito, I sell for Eric Newman, I sell for Rob Levin. But the first line is that representative, and we sell for them first. And you want to hear it when it's time to cut a cigar out. Don't cut that, because that's John's cigar company. That's Jim's cigar company. I don't want to take that cigar out. And that's probably it, the lack of showing up and creating a union with the guys working at our store.
For you, Julie, what's the thing that you dislike the most about a salesperson?
I would say overall, it's a lack of effort. We have some salespeople where, we may call and say, there's some type of an issue or a problem. And, a lot of times we have the ability to call, the next person or the, in line or the next level. But it's a lack of effort that, a sales rep who might not go in and say, okay, you know what, I'll take care of that. Let me do that. But the one who says, here's the number and here's the person you need to call. So that type of thing, I think is, it's a great job to have, I believe, as a sales rep, to be in this industry and to have the opportunity to, work for the, fantastic manufacturers that we have, to be able to go into all these great retail stores and have a conversation about a great product. And so I think for me, it would just be lack of effort upon, some of those people.
But that's few and far between, especially in our market, when you take our representatives. I mean, these people are our friends. Some of them are some of my closest friends. And not because they give me special deals or anything else, like just because we see them all the time and they become a part of our lives. And in turn, we can show that our guys and get our guys to be involved more and sell more of their products. And it's interesting, those reps that are closest to us are the ones we sell most of their products for.
We do, and let me jump in there also. I mean, Ken brought up a good point. We're in a great market. We're in a great area. And I think a lot of the companies, the manufacturers, put forth some of their best representatives in this area. So we do, in general, have very good representatives.
And talking about representatives, it's that time to nail the professor. Ladies and gentlemen, Melanie, are you ready for this? Melanie, your microphone is off. Turn it on.
Hello.
And here we go. No, this is the wrong one. All right, here we go. Ladies and gentlemen, it's that time of the day. Time to nail the professor. Melanie.
All right. I don't know if I saw too many, but I did see this one that was very interesting. And he said, what do you add to the soil if your pH is too high?
Melanie, you've been partying too much because there's loads of questions up to nail the professor.
I didn't see them.
All right, start with that one.
Okay. Look, to be honest, I'm not an agronomist because when it comes to soil, we know that the soil, the main three things is the pH, the nitrate, and the magnesium that the soil has. I do know because I've heard it, and I'm not going to mention a company in Nicaragua that one time grew a very beautiful, gorgeous wrapper, and they put urea into it. And everybody knows that urea is used for corn. And what happened was that the plants grew very, very tall. And then after it was put away for 2 or 3 years, it had a huge burning issue. Maybe Carlito or Jeremiah, I think Jeremiah could get into that because I am not an agronomist, to be honest. That's a technical question for agronomists. I don't know if Jeremiah or Carlito.
With pleasure, go for it. What was the question? Because I was too busy doing all of the coding here.
I got
What was
that
the question,
one.
Melanie?
The next question, or the question that we just asked him?
No, the one that you just, yeah.
What do you add to the soil if your pH is too high?
All right, that's a good question because I think it's unique to the Meerapfel Cameroon wrapper. When our soil isn't right, the virgin rainforest soil isn't right, we move down deeper into the forest because it's going to be right every time. Virgin soils are very, very, very special. And when you have soils which have been there forever, where the tree leaves are falling down and the nature is, you're talking about pure bliss. So unfortunately, I'm unable to answer that question simply because it doesn't relate to Cameroon wrapper. But let's see if Carlito has something to say about it.
I've heard first of all, you can only adjust the pH, I really believe, just by a little bit. You got to have a good pH to start with. If you have a very low pH, it's best not to grow tobacco on that land. I've heard that you can use chalk. A lot of times chalk is used to lower the pH and so forth. But I really believe from everything my experience is that one of the key things when you're going to grow tobacco for soil and everything, aside from the analysis, is the pH. And the pH should be a normal pH, 5.6, 6.5, not much lower than that and not much higher.
Another question?
Yes. So the next question that we have is from Chet. So, Professor, has anyone put a tobacco through the Maduro process, which was not going to be used as a wrapper?
I didn't hear the last part.
Okay. Has anyone put a tobacco through the Maduro process, which was not going to be used as a wrapper? So, for example, blended into the filler. If not, how would that affect the overall flavor?
Wow. I don't really understand the question a lot, but I think from what I understood, okay, you have tobaccos. Let's say in this case, wrappers. Let's take Connecticut broadleaf. You're going to ferment that tobacco. You're going to ferment it at different temperatures, depending how the season was. A lot of rain, you're not going to get very high temperatures. It's going to be short. You have hardly any rain, temperatures are going to be very, very, very high. But when you're talking about maduros, because you hear people, and I'm not going to get into this argument, that say, well, we have double maduros, triple maduros. I've heard people even say, you know, our fillers, our binders, and our wrappers were fermented 2 times and 3 times. Let me tell you this, I could be wrong, but I can guarantee you this. You take tobaccos and you ferment it at 130, 140 degrees more than once, that second time around, what you're gonna have is tobacco without any oils and without any flavors at all. And I think that maybe Carlito gonna testify to that also.
Yes, I agree with you, Jose. And to begin with, you talk about Connecticut broadleaf. Connecticut broadleaf could be used as filler, binder, and wrapper. Tobacco, depending on the texture, has to be fermented. The heavier the texture, normally the higher the heat, the longer time of fermentation. But all tobacco has to be fermented properly. You ferment tobacco to take it to its peak. And after the tobacco is fermented, then you have to make a decision whether it falls as filler, binder, or wrapper. A tobacco like broadleaf, which you mentioned, is a heavier tobacco. There has been many cigars made over the many, many years that have been 100% Connecticut broadleaf. And especially in Connecticut in the old days, there were a lot of big brands. But, you know, that tobacco in particular could be wrapper, fill, and binder. Now, normally, like shade grow wrapper or thinner wrapper, normally that's wrapper and binder because you need the structure and the filler for the cigar not to collapse. You need a heavier leaf, a heavier structure, because if not, your cigar could collapse or go sideways or whatever with very, very thin wrapper on the inside. So I think that all tobacco, regardless of what it's determined to be, has to be fermented properly. And I also agree with you, you know, this thing about double, triple, you know, my father had a saying that said, paper holds all the shit you put on it. And somebody will say it's fermented 10 times or done this or whatever. But you turn the box as many times as necessary. It could be 3 times, it could be 6 times, it could be whatever, and depending on the texture of the tobacco and the amount of oils and what you want to achieve. There's only one way to do it, the right way.
Exactly, the old way. And it's I know it's funny because it's like I said, I'm not going to get into arguments what companies say or people say. It's I learned my lesson years and years ago on Facebook, because you're going to have people arguing with you that you go like, well, let me talk with somebody else to see if I'm wrong. So I've decided to put that aside. You know, like you say, el papel aguanta todo. On paper, you can write anything you want. So another question, Melanie.
All right. Why is it hard to find Angelo of consistent taste?
What is, I didn't hear, what is what?
Andullo.
Oh, Andullo.
Andoy.
Okay. Andullo. Let me tell you, there's a lot of companies using it. With all due respect, I smoke some that it's okay. Andullo is something very old from Dominican Republic, and you have it a lot in Baitoa, close to Santiago. Those were the specialists. So that was tobacco that was grown, and then it was put into this, like, it wasn't Yagua, it was, I can't remember, and they would tighten it up and tighten it up and tighten it up. And to be honest, a lot of people used to smoke it, but believe it or not, the guys that always use Andullo were Dominican baseball players. They even used to bring it back to the States, and you could chew on it and chew on it. I'm not a big fan of it. A lot of companies use Andullo in the last 2-3 years. It's been very, I'm not going to say very popular, but a lot of companies use it. I don't know what Carlito's thoughts on Andullo. I respect the people that like it, but me personally, this is me personally. I don't want somebody to say, oh, Sir Blanco said that Andullo is not good. I'll put it this way. Andullo is it's not my cup of tea.
I don't disagree with you, Jose. I know it's an old artisan product that was used in the Dominican Republic and, you know, in the rural areas. But I understand it's not really fermented tobacco. It's just like raw tobacco that they grind and squeeze it together its own juices. So it's something completely different, but it must have really high octane. I think that's why people enjoy it. It's like something very, very powerful, but not in a flavorful way, just all strength.
Yep.
All right, I have one more. Has anyone ever experimented with intermittently spraying pylons of or with bourbon, etc., during the fermentation process rather than using barrels? Is it something that could be done?
Okay, I'm going to give you my 2 cents on that. With the companies that I've worked with, we've never worked, or when we've done the pilones in the fermentation process, we've added bourbon or any other additives to it. Do other companies do it? We know it's true. I'm not going to get into naming companies. I think that's their own thing. But and then, okay, if you want to talk about flavor, I'll tell you, there's only 3 ways to do it. You put all the flour on the floor, and then a lot of people use like those things, to wet things like that. Other bigger companies have it looks like a cement mixer for cigarettes. And then the other thing is a lot of people make the cigars and they take a syringe and they inject it into it. I know how it's done, but the companies that I've worked with, we've never used on premium tobacco anything like rum or bourbon or those things like that. I don't know if Carlito wants to talk about that.
Just water, just natural water. That's it.
I didn't hear you what you said.
No, I said it. I agree with you. No, just water. The only thing that's added to the tobacco is water.
That's it. Okay.
All right,
Done?
so that's the last one that I saw. So now we're back to
Thank God that was the last one for this evening. My goodness, this was terrible. All right, guys, you're going to have to be better than that if you're going to nail the professor. Back to you, Jose.
Ken, during all the years that we've known each other, and I have to say this because this is the damn truth, I told you that one day you would be president of the IPCPR. True or false?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Many times. Because one thing I've always liked about you, you're a straight shooter, no BS with you. If you have to say something to somebody, you will say with all respect. Sometimes you might get a little bit mad, but you know, it happens to all of us. So I want you were president at the it was IPCPR at that time. I think it was 2016, 2017, for 2 years. How was your presidency? And the other question on that, after you seeing your 2 years as president, what would you have changed? And it's not a loaded question.
No, I don't think it's a loaded question. You know, so it's 16 some odd years, maybe 17. I'm still on the board and for a couple more months. And even when I started on the board, I was thinking back the other day. So I was one of the first, if not the first, legislative chair of the committee, and there was only one person in the entire country covering all the legislative issues. And at that time, we weren't even throwing money at different lobbyists and doing things like that to help our industry. It was just a trade show. And what I saw before I even got on the board was, you know, who are these guys that sit in this boardroom and think they know what about the cigar industry? And I sat back and I complained. And instead of complaining so much, I said, I want to be a part of this. And Diana Silvis and some other people recommended me to the board, and I came on, and that's a cycle that goes on for every 2 years. You go to different positions as an executive board member. So it's secretary, treasurer, vice president, second vice president, then president for 2 years afterwards outside the board, or president pro temp, whatever you want to call it. And what I saw in those times of being on that of the board was a cycle change of not only new people coming into business, but the industry changing. Where, I mean, I don't know what the total number is. Let's just say the number was $5 million we've spent in the last couple years, 10 years, whatever it's been, to fight our government to sell the product that's legal to sell. So that's really the change that happened. Was all of a sudden we became this organization from a trade show organization to now we're a political organization, and we have to go on Capitol Hill and make our voice heard as husband and wife, brother and sister, and to talk about our industry and what it is to be a small niche industry. And that's really the change that I saw. What I want when I leave this board in a couple of months, is my name to never come up again. Not because I'm tired of it. It's because no one in this country is bigger than the association. You should never bring up my name again because it should always be for the association, not what Ken did or what John Anderson, my vice president, did, or the future ones coming up. It's about what did we do for the industry. And so many people think to themselves that it's just, take your association dues and put it here and we're just doing things helter-skelter. We're not. It's a very, very precise thing, and a lot of time is spent to support this industry and to support the manufacturers who bring that product to our stores. There's a lot of issues that happened in the last 5 years that didn't really affect retail directly. But as an association, the only and the biggest in the entire world, we had to fight for all of the industry, the manufacturers and the retail issues. Because if we don't help the manufacturer issues, that doesn't help our stores. And so if I had to change one thing, I think to be a better vocalist or a better person to get out there and get more people on the road to tell the story of what the PCA now is and what we are and what we fight for. Because it's not fighting to be the biggest and the baddest. It's fighting for small mom and pops like ourselves that started a great niche business and become a part of an integral part of your town, supporting charities, doing things that help people, Dominican people, doing all these things that help people throughout the world. And that's really what it is. I think probably being a better person to portray that and be able to do things like this. I wish this was here 12 years ago so I could sit on this and have a voice to tell people this is why we're part of the association. Please be a part of it because this is what makes us great. The more stores we have, the better off we are.
Julie, you also, we haven't mentioned it, you're the second vice president of the what's the TAA. I got a blank. You know what it is that after I had COVID, I have these blanks. And the other thing, to be honest,
the most bullshit excuse I've ever heard. You've been having blanks for the last 25 years.
Okay,
unbelievable.
You want to hear? You know what the truth is? To be honest, I've never worked with two knuckleheads that just like Carlito and Jeremiah. They're on top of me all day long. I'm like the ham and the cheese in the sandwich. I got one slice in Belgium. I got one slice in Dominican Republic. So you gotta look at 71 years old. I get no respect like Rodney Dangerfield used to say.
Yeah.
Julie, tell us a little bit about your role with the TAA. And I've been going to TA for many years and seeing you, and I know you and Liana have a lot to do with TAA.
So TAA, the board, Ken likes to call it the fun board compared to the PCA board because he says that all we do is plan a big party, which I guess in a sense, that there is something there to that comment. But no, the TAA, it's a great organization, and I think it's really given a lot of retailers the opportunity to get a one-on-one time and build relationships with the manufacturers, our best manufacturers in the industry. And it is a fun board, and it's a great opportunity to be a part of that and to be able to put together the conferences that we do. Right now, obviously, everything has been remote. So we've been doing that as well. We've got one coming up next month where we do deals and things for the retail manufacturers that are supplied to us by our generous, did I say retailers? Deals that are put forth to the retailers from our generous manufacturers. And it's a really great opportunity to just get more on that one-on-one level with the manufacturers and other retailers.
Ken, I would like to hear your thoughts on companies, without mentioning companies, that really support brick and mortar.
Well, that's kind of a loaded question.
Of course.
It's interesting, and I haven't told Carlito that. I don't know if Scott Pearson said something, either the executive director of the PCA, but when the pinks came around, I didn't even know this at the time when they came out, that they were only for PCA members. And the interesting thing is, I don't know how many, let's say between 5 and 10 people signed up for the PCA because of that. And did it take an effort on Carlito's part? Yeah, because there's probably some customers that weren't PCA members that he had to have a conversation with, but he got 5 to 10 people to support our association.
One of those conversations was with Casa Fuente in Las Vegas. They wanted to know why they didn't have the pinks, and I said you got to pay up.
Yeah, and it's interesting because it's not that expensive of an association to be a part of, but to be a part of that builds on that brick and mortar style. And I know your thought, Carlito, on brick and mortar, and Jose's also. And that's truly what we are. We're a pure brick and mortar store. We don't do any online business. We did back in the day when we first started 26 years ago, but we're only brick and mortar. Only our 8 walls at our 2 stores is what matters to us. And so that creates a different style in how we buy. Sure, we have the massive company cigars, but we have companies that support us, and they get in the prominent locations because they're the ones that support brick and mortar. And when we have that, we have the security knowing that you can't just get a discount on it, buy 2 get one on an internet site because it's a brick and mortar exclusive or a brick and mortar supported brand. That's not the only cigars we sell, but those are the ones that we try to push more often. In a brick and mortar store, people don't realize, when the weather's bad in Chicago and we got 2 feet of snow, we probably get more busy than we do when it's sunny out because people have nowhere to go. So we give them a place to go. And that's really what drives us on our decisions. And a lot of our decisions are made on relationship. A pink's easy because it's from Carlito, but some other companies, I don't know that much about them. But when they go from, we're no longer doing mail order business and we're switching, which some have done recently, we're switching to a brick and mortar only cigar. We took that cigar on because I believe that we have to show them support. It's not a one-way street. I just take all the cigars Carlito sends me and I don't give back. We have to give back because we have to give back to the people of Dominican or Nicaragua or Honduras or the people that support us. It has to be a 2-way street. And when we show support for companies that do that, like a Carlito with the pinks, it shows them we can continue to do that. And we can continue to support those brick and mortars because we have to show our support for them, those manufacturers that do that. So it's a kind of a tightrope game where you want to bring cigars to whatever customers want. But let's be serious. We drive 75, 80% of what we sell in our stores. We could carry just 25 brands and we could do well. It's really about what our guys sell, not and what customers ask for, but truly we drive those brands.
Of course.
We talked the other day, and at the beginning of the show, you said something very interesting about when we had our previous conversation to invite you about price gouging. I would like you to address that a bit because I think that is one of the things that really makes a lot of people, why you have X cigar at $10 and so has them at $12. And they're only 2 miles apart. And then the guy who's selling the cigar for $12 is telling every time the reps come in, well, I can't buy anything because I'm not selling them. Well, you dummy, you got your cigars $2 or $3 more than everybody else. So I would like you to, I know there's a lot of retailers and a lot of companies, believe it or not, that hear our show. We don't know why, but your thoughts on that.
Well, the interesting thing is my father, my best friend in the world, best man at my wedding, I wear his wedding ring, taught me that if you're not going direct to your supplier or getting as close as you can to that person, getting the company, and getting the best price you possibly can for the product, you're doing your customer a disservice. And we were in the manufacturing business, but still, it still correlates to retail. So first off, as long as you're getting that cigar direct, but it doesn't matter even there. Manufacturers suggested retail price. Now we're right there. Let's say a 10-cent difference between MSRP with our taxes. With our taxes, whatever. But we're at MSRP basically within a 10-cent, category. But let's just go back to that conversation we had earlier about that first initial conversation you have with a consumer that walks through your door, the greeting. Then they come in your store. If they're going to go buy a pink, and let's say you're $4 more than what the suggested retail, everyone knows the suggested retail is supposed to be on it. That customer might feel that they might still buy that cigar, But then they go online and they go, oh, I love this cigar, but I got gouged. And do you think that customer is going to become happy or satisfied or loyal to your store? No way. They're not going to come back to your store and keep coming back, because even if that's the only cigar you're gouging on, they're going to think that every cigar in your store is that way. And you can't do that. You have to think to yourself, this is not rocket science. You can push a button and find out what a cigar is supposed to cost. Let's not take a cigar because I only get 4 boxes of certain kind of you said no brands, but we can say it, this, Opus, so I can charge $4 extra. No, we're at suggested retail on an Opus X, and we sell every one of them we get, and people come in from miles to come to get our cigar. But they also buy other cigars, not only the limited stuff and the hard to get stuff, because back to what my father taught me, you have to give them the best possible price you can afford to do. And the gouging thing goes so quickly, and that's what I read on when I read blogs. I read these people talking about gouging where they're paying twice of suggested retail. My God, this is what are you going to do in an average year? You're going to make an extra total $500, $1,000 on those limited cigars, but at the same time get a bad reputation as being that gouger and not get those people to come in on a regular basis. Because those guys that come in January and February, and those ladies that come in January and February, are the ones that drive you through your slow times of the business. And if you're gouging, it shows what the worst retailer can be. And it just puts us in this pile of people that are taking advantage of people. And that's not what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to present this beautiful product to someone like it's a newborn baby or a certain thing that someone just cherished and gave to me, and I'm going to give that to that customer to buy. Please cut this, light this, and enjoy it for an hour of your life. Not give me an extra $3 so I can go to a bar later on tonight, or tell it, still have that open. It's different than limiting. Limiting the quantity of sale is different, saying that we only sell 2 of these cigars to a person. That gives everyone a chance to buy it. Limiting is different than gouging. And gouging, it right now can be cured in 100% of the stores in this country. Just stop it. There's no reason to do it. There is zero reason to do it, and stop it, because that takes away another weapon that someone has against a brick and mortar store and says, I can go online and get that cigar for suggested retail tomorrow. But if I go to my local store, they're gouging me anyway, so I don't like going there anyways. Don't give them the ammunition. Don't give them a reason to go online to Yelp and all these places and complain about your store. People have opinions about everything. It's kind of like, I won't say what it is, but everyone has those opinions. Don't give them that first bullet in their gun to shoot and say, he's gouging or she's gouging. That's my opinion. That's a horrible thing to do. And even if you don't buy it direct, you should still be a suggested retail. Even if I wasn't an account of Carlito Fuente, I could call the company and say, can you give me just at least suggested retail on this cigar? And they would tell, as a retailer, they would tell me, because they work hard on that number. I don't think it's a number they pull out of the sky. The number that they can address where they are in the humidor and get those products sold at a better rate for retailers. Just my thought.
Julie, any thoughts on that?
When we first opened, we started selling our cigars on the shelf. The price on the shelf was suggested retail on all the cigars. And we would charge our tobacco tax at the register. And we did that so that people could, when they came in, they could see what the prices of the cigars were supposed to be. If they compared it to online or other sources, or it was a cigar that they bought somewhere else, they knew that we were competitive with our prices. We did that for quite a few years until actually the state of Illinois came to us and told us that we can't do it that way. So now our prices on the shelf do incorporate the Illinois tobacco tax. So you can no longer compare our prices on the shelf and see how competitive we actually are. But it's something that we've always strived to do, is to provide the customer with the best product we can give them and at the best price we can give it to them for.
Okay. Well, it's time to present the man who never limits but always gouges, the one and only Rich is Riot. Rich, this is your show, buddy. Ha ha.
Don't I look adorable? What can I tell you?
This was a special that we did just for you. So for those of you who don't know, this is the French Revolution. And how appropriate was it to put Rich on there? Rich, remember, this is broadcasted out of Basel, Switzerland. Whatever you say will not be held against you or any other members of the show today. Have fun.
Well, I'll do my best, but that's a very nice picture. However, I think my man boobs are bigger than that lady leading the revolution. The great show again. Mentioning TAA reminds me that I visit with a friend in Chattanooga. And whenever I'm up that way seeing stores, Phil Wyndham was a great guy with TAA, and that's what he misses most about the cigar business. Pinks, I almost got one, but I've called a shop that I know is a great Fuente store, has always supported CFCF, but he had not yet renewed his membership to a PCA, so he didn't get any. The other shop that I knew was going to get them 3 hours away, and I called and said, Rich, they lasted 3 hours selling one to a person. So God bless, maybe the next sizes, I'll catch one of those. You guys talked about road guys, and I be one, and I've trained them in the clothing business and other industries. And you're right, it's little things, not just showing up, but knowing your staff, knowing your customers. I'm not patting myself on the back, but I walked into a store in Tennessee with a cigar company owner. And we walked in, there's 4 guys sitting around a card table. And I go around and introduce each one of the guys to the cigar manufacturer. And he said, which one's the owner? I said, none of them. She's probably in the back room. These are your customers. These are the guys that put money in your pocket. If I didn't know them and tell them what we've got and show them all the new things, we wouldn't get anywhere. Other little things that I do, a lot of my shops have shop dogs, puppies, big dogs. And I'm the idiot that keeps a box of dog biscuits in the car at all times. I pull into a store that's got a shop dog. First thing I do is walk in, greet the dog, give him a cookie, and then talk to the salespeople and the owner. All those little things add up. And today's story, trying to keep it not quite PG, but close enough so that Jose doesn't get angry. There's a brothel out in Vegas, not the same one as last week's joke, but the madam opens the door and there's a rather dignified gentleman between the ages of 40 and 50, wearing this, dressed really well and everything. And she says, can I help you? He says, yes, I want to see Valerie. Sir, Valerie is our most expensive lady. Perhaps you could find someone else that you would like. No, I must see Valerie. Just then Valerie appeared and announced to the man that she charged $1,000 for a visit. Without hesitation, he reaches in his pocket, pulls out a wad of bills, whips off $100 bills, gives it to Valerie, and they went upstairs. After an hour, he smiled, he left, and everything was great. Next night, the same guy appears, again demanding to see Valerie. Valerie explained that no one's ever been back twice, too expensive, and she didn't give volume discounts. He said, no problem, whipped out another $1,000. She said, this is great. Third night, he knocks on the door. He shows up. Everyone's just unbelievable that he came back third consecutive night. Paid Valerie. They went upstairs. After their little session, Valerie questioned the guy, says, no one's ever been with me 3 nights in a row. Where are you from? He says, South Carolina. She says, really? I have family in South Carolina. He said, I know. Your father died. I'm your sister's attorney. She asked me to give you $3,000 inheritance. And the moral of the story is, there are 3 things you can be certain of: death, taxes, and getting screwed by a lawyer.
Fantastic, Rich. That was wonderful, and it was a great joke. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Rich.
Whoa. I actually had a good laugh on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to wrap up the show with a very, very, very special session. And what else could it be other than Melanie's hotspot? Melanie?
Dun, 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 dun. I really got to work on that song. This is going to be fun. All right, so I have some newlywed questions for the lovely couple. How about this? So I'm going to ask you guys each other. You're going to answer a question about the other person, okay? All right, so we're going to start with who. Okay, well, first we're going to start with some who is who. All right, so who's the best cook?
Julie.
All right. Who does the most cleaning?
Wait, hold on a second. That was a little bit too quick to my liking. It was like snap. there was no discussion to that. Ken, can you just pretend for a second?
I do cook. It depends on what we're speaking of, but on a regular basis, yes, it's Julie hands down. She tries stuff, and I'm always like, if it stinks, we'll just grab a McDonald's. So what? But yeah, on a regular basis, she's the one that finds the great and cooks well too, with not a bunch of salts and stuff. Makes it a really delicious meal for both our sons. I mean, both our sons are over 6 feet tall. I mean, it's because they were fed well. That's for sure.
All right, fair enough. Lucky man. Back to you, Melanie.
All right, Julie, what is Ken's silliest fear?
His silliest what?
Fear.
Fear. Oh gosh. I don't know what your silliest fear would be.
Swearing on this call.
That wouldn't be a big deal. But that used to be, honestly, he used to be afraid because when he would have to go up as a board member of the IPCPR at that time, PCA now, he would always say to me, he said, I just have to not swear. I just have to make sure that I don't swear when I get up on stage. And that was always his thing because, there was a time where he worked in an environment, it was a warehouse, and that's how everybody talked. So he grew up with that. His father talked that way. So it's always been, something that just flows naturally from him. So that is probably a huge fear that he had, was that he would be up on stage at IPCPR or something and drop an F-bomb in front of everybody.
He didn't know he could say it was broadcasting from Switzerland. All right.
Yeah, I just want everybody to know that on this show, there's all the swearing you want. So Ken, be my guest. Just go for it.
Yeah, it's a very interesting. I can just imagine 2,500 people when I drop an F-bomb and the whole breakfast meeting just goes silent. It was just, that was the only thing that made me sweat. So she is right about that.
All right, Ken, what is Julie's favorite junk food?
Favorite junk food?
So many.
She's not a junk food person. I'm a candy guy kind of thing, but I would say that a decadent chocolate dessert would be what, and I'm not a chocolate person, but she is. That's I would say not very often do we eat cheese and eats that, but that's probably it. Chocolate. That's a woman's thing.
All right, Julie, if Ken was a Disney character, who would he be?
God, don't say Shrek.
No, do I have to? The first one that popped in my head.
Say it. Who cares?
Was Goofy. He's just fun all the time. He's entertaining. He's fun. He's loyal. He's great. He's just always having an enjoyable time, and that's what I love.
Oh, that's sweet. Okay, what is Ken's favorite ice cream flavor? Oh, wait, I'm supposed to go the opposite way. Wait, Ken, what is Julie's favorite ice cream flavor? Is she an ice cream flavor?
You're not a huge ice cream person. Maybe a mint chocolate chip. That's probably it. You're not a big. I'm an ice cream guy person. She definitely doesn't. She's not.
I have vanilla.
Yeah, she's not. She's not ice cream. She just doesn't eat. She does, but that's not her favorite food to eat like that. Let's
Okay, Julie, what is Ken's celebrity crush?
Oh, well, okay, so this is from a while ago though, but it was Andy McDowell. Oh, or
That's true.
there's another one too, and I can't think of what her name is.
Yeah, you're right. That would
You
be.
always liked her.
Yeah.
I don't know. And the other one, she's I can't think of the name of the other one.
Yeah, but I was right. You were right. That's it.
Who's the better driver?
I'm not going to get into this male chauvinist thing, but
Ken drives all the time.
So I drive
I'm
more.
driving
Yeah, I
this
mean,
one.
both of us are pretty decent. I'd say Julie's the more. She can get us there faster,
I drive fast.
but more patient. I'm more of a relaxed, sit back, smoke a cigar kind of person driving. So I think she's probably the better driver, but I drive more. So
That's awesome. Okay, last question. If you guys had won the lottery, what is it that you would buy together?
what's the what?
If you guys have won the lottery together, what would you buy together?
I don't know.
I know what I do with the money, but I don't know if we'll buy it together.
You mean you'd leave her behind and you'd do something else?
No, I'd spread that out. Depends on how much money there was, but I'd spread it out and use it for for great causes and use it to help people, and then also do something for ourselves. But ourselves are way down the list when we win the lottery.
We've both done a lot of charity work, and I think that's something that we would probably do if we won the lottery is support the organizations that we've supported in the past and continue on with those efforts.
That's fantastic.
Probably.
Well, thanks for playing along, guys.
Amazing. All right, kid, don't go anywhere. And please make sure that everybody out there knows how to rewatch this episode, because this, ladies and gentlemen, is mythic. So, Melanie, how do we rewatch this?
You guys be sure to go to the tiny URL right down below. You can see that / The Professor Show. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and share it with your smoking buddies. Also, go to our Facebook page and subscribe there. You can hit the bell and it will give you every kind of notification that you want. So it's facebook.com / The Professor Show. And you can also catch us live whenever we go. So, and share it.
Thanks, Mel. One last question to Ken. How do you think, or what do you think we could do to make CRA better and to get, and I know you guys have always supported CRA, how do you think we could get more people involved?
That's an interesting thing, because we were involved, not having it at our store when it first launched, but went to Uptown when they launched it, and people were like, "Why are you going there?" We brought customers there, and I go, "Because I believe in the concept, and I'm a lifetime member." That's the problem with cigar consumers, is we're mostly easygoing people, and we don't want to agitate and aggravate. So. We've tried things even in our stores to give away a membership as a rebate when you buy the pack. I don't know if I certainly am not in a position, I've looked at it, but in a position to comment on how it's not run correctly. It's just amazing to me that we can't amass every single cigar smoker in the country, in the world, to be a member. That's the thing that we really need to work on, I think, and being a consumer-driven organization that shows when we go to Capitol Hill or our local Springfield in Illinois, saying we have 40,000 people in our organization. These are 50,000 voters in our organization. These are people that can move the needle in an election. Why the NRA gets so strong? Because they have all the members that do it. And that's really what it is. I think the drive to get more members and more members and more members, it's not supposed to be get a membership and buy 10 cigars and get a free membership. That's not really what will do it, but we need more people to be a part of it, and then have that communication with them to show them how to have a National Smoking Day, and show people that it's not about consuming nicotine, it's about showing what a small mom and pop store does for them. And that's what we really need to do, is let these people in Washington know that it's not evil tobacco. It's truly family-run businesses like the Fuentes and the Neumanns and the Levins that keep doing it every year after year for over 100 years, some of them. So, but more people in the organization, more consumers is what I think what needed.
I mean, to be honest, everybody knows that all the events that I used to do, doesn't matter the company I'm working, I would always ask people, how many people here are members of CRA? And it really annoyed me to see people say, but what is CRA? And you know who I put the blame on all the time? Is that shop owner. And when I talk to them and I tell them, CRA is fighting for your livelihood. It's fighting for companies to be able to survive. And well, I don't have the time. You know what I always used to tell them? When they come down and shut you down, the state, you're going to have all the effing time in the world to do it. But anyway, listen, first of all, I would like to thank Ken and Julie for accepting our invitation from Jeremiah, myself, Mel, and Carlito, and for your friendship during so many years, for being not only great retailers, but people willing to talk to other retailers. Because I remember going to all the TAAs, you guys would always sit down with people from other states to see what's working for them. Always with the new guys, there would be the new members talked to them a couple of occasions. We were all sitting with new members doing years. And I think that's outstanding, the work that you have done as a retailer, as the president of the association. Julie, that eventually, I guess, a couple of years, she'll be the president of the TA without a doubt. So from my part, thanks for your friendship, for your loyalty, for the great work you do in your state, for lobbying, and for just being, in my book, just good people. Carlito?
Nope, you're muted.
Oh, I'm muted?
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Okay, good. No, Jose, I agree with every word you said, just good people. We know, Ken and Julie for so many years, and they touch on something that's so important. This is an industry of people, that love to touch and love to hug. And I don't think I've ever seen Julie or Ken that I haven't given them a hug or a kiss on the cheek. And I know he's a big guy and everything, but I still give him a kiss on the cheek because it's like an extension of our family. It is an extension of our family. And this is an industry that people love people. And I'm not going to say just customers because they're our customer and their customers are our customers also. But I'm talking about when I see another manufacturer, a colleague, I hug them or hug her. And it's so important, that personal contact. And this is why they've been so successful for so many years, because they share their heart, their passion, and their love with so many people. The same way as you mentioned, Jose, whenever we're in a convention or we're together at some moments and we spend times together in the Dominican Republic and everything, had great times. It's not about cigars, it's about people. It's about building these lifelong relationships that will last a long time. And both of you are dear friends that I love dearly, as Cynthia does, and as Liana does. All Liana talks to me is about Julie. And how excited she is with the TAA and everything. And it's what it's all about. It's about relationships. And I thank you both for accepting our invitation. It's very special to all of us. I wish you well, continued success. And hopefully you could come down south again sometime soon and warm up.
I hope so too. Thank you
so much.
It's an honor.
Bring your shovel because we're digging ditches in the chateau. So
can't wait.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you.
Ken and Julie. Ken, I've been looking at you for the past hour and 15 minutes, and I'm like, I know this guy, and all of a sudden it's just snapped. You look like Tom Hanks.
That's probably the people. I'm not a compliment. I wish I had his money, but that's what people have said at like the drive-thru at McDonald's and at my bank. Many people have said that. It's interesting. And what
unbelievable. Listen, I'll give you a deal. I'll come down to your shop and we'll smoke a cigar together and we'll have fun next time I'm in the States. And you come down to Europe and I'll just pretend I'm walking around with Tom Hanks, yeah?
I think it's Eva Padron, George Padron's wife calls me Forrest Gump.
Oh,
she calls me Gump when she sees me. It's not an insult. It's because she thinks that I look like her. It's funny. But thanks for the compliment.
Amazing. Listen, Ken and Julie, it's been amazing spending the last hour with you on this show. I truly mean it. I haven't had time to spend much time with you at all over the last years. You're running into you at the IPCPRs or the RTD as it was at the time. But apart from that, this has really been an occasion, and it's been a huge opportunity for me to be able to spend a little bit of time with you. And it's opened up a door that I hope that I can enter a lot more in the future. And I am very, very much looking forward to the next encounter that we have in person. It's going to be a lot of fun. And until then, you guys stay safe, have fun, be responsible, which I'm sure you are, especially if Julie's the one running the house. And for the rest, I'm sending you all my love. Thank you very much for being on the show.
Thanks. We look forward to seeing you in person.
Yep, it's an honor.
Thank you. Bye-bye for now. Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Fuente and Meerapfel present Meet the Professor. Until next week, maybe the professor will tell us who's coming on the show.
Well, next week, we're going to have another great show. Today was fantastic. Before we finish today, I have to say again, just in case Abe or anybody from the crew from last night, Michael Herlocks, Paul, all the guys. We witnessed yesterday, and I know Carlito was there, him and Saka really hit it out of the ballpark. We witnessed yesterday history in the making, and I was very glad that a lot of our friends were there. Carlito was so emotional last night that I said, oh my God, I mean, but anyway, it was great. Next week, we're going to have a treat. We're going to have the one and only from Foundation Cigar, Mr. Nick Melillo, which I've been a friend for many, many years. He's a medium, small guy, but what he's doing is making some amazing cigars. A very interesting story to tell, and somebody that I worked very close to when I was in Nicaragua. So till next week, guys, we're going to have Nick Melillo from Foundation. So thanks for tuning in tonight.
All right. Well, that was another show of Fuente and Meerapfel. Until next week, take care of yourselves and of others. And remember, if you don't do it with passion, don't do it at all. Bye-bye for now.
Good night. Good night.
Bye-bye, Ken and Julie. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. It was great.
Bye-bye.
Carlito.